Okay, this is the September chat with fans. I have several things to cover this time. And apparently people on Twitch are seeing ads. That's not me. I don't get anything for it. I didn't even know they were doing it. So, uh, yeah, I guess last month doesn't look so good from your end. Basically you can blame the videos not coming out and me working on the movie. However, I have been doing a lot, and there are 2 videos that could come any day now. In fact, one could have come as early as 3 days ago. So, next Freeman's Mind is already voiced. I'm basically waiting on sound effects back from a sound editor who got sick. So that's okay I know that frustrates you guys, but that's okay for me because I'm just moving ahead on the next thing. And then once he sends me the files, I'll finish it off and put it up. So maybe it'll be tomorrow, maybe a couple days, I don't know. But this is why I've stopped doing the specific date predictions, because things like this happen. Now, one thing that's not dependent on somebody else is I had a flash of inspiration, and I realized I got backed into a corner a bit. Well, I'll get to that. New game dungeon coming out pretty soon. It's almost all voiced. I have to do a lot of recording, editing, video recording and editing, but I'll grind that out as fast as I can. So that's just a matter of me just grinding through it. I think it'll be a pretty good one. And the one after it started this just chain reaction, because I had inspiration for the one that's coming after that, but I realized, oh wait, I want to do this other one first. So I went through that. Yeah, the next game dungeon, I was hoping it'd be about 10 minutes, just a shorter one, and it turned into about 23. So, whoops. I try to cut them down, but man, there's some things I want to say. And then I feel like my hand is being forced on one I want to do for Halloween, which I need to start earlier because of certain events happening that I feel like, oh man, this was one I was planning to do anyway, but I wasn't in any rush for it. But now it's like, oh man, now I have to do this one soon. So it's going to be real busy this month. I am going to try and have a game session though, because I've skipped the last 2 because I was so busy. I shouldn't do that 3 times in a row. In the event that I don't get someone to host Unreal Tournament, which I may or may not, Unreal Tournament 2004, if I don't, then we'll just do Planetside 2 again. Then we'll figure out something. Because then I don't need a host. But I'll have notes on that on Twitter. And I'll probably have the date in the YouTube description once I put that up. And, yeah, okay, bigger news. No video chat next month for October. That is because, oh yeah, I'm getting married. So I figured that's a pretty good excuse. You know, I can't pull that one out every month. That's going to keep me pretty busy, which even more the reason I need to get a lot done this month. I am counting on getting nothing done for October. However, I'm keeping my fingers crossed I have a week or 2 to kind of get stuff done some point after the marriage, because I have my parents and a friend of mine come visiting like a week before, so I'm not planning to get anything done during that time. So this will be, geez, yeah, I was thinking about it. This will probably be like the first week or 1 to 2 weeks that like I haven't been working on the videos at all. I think since I arrived here. So that would be like what, 2011 or something. So I'm trying to get as much out as I can. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, this marriage, this is good because it's sort of it's like a half legitimate wedding and half green card equivalent wedding. Like they can't throw me out of the country pretty much once I'm married. So that's good for me. So yeah, that's so this month is just gonna be bananas. I will be. Oh yeah, one thing I want to emphasize when I give these estimates, I'm not promising any videos by a certain date. These are just like my plans that I'm trying hard to keep. So like I haven't promised a video date, I think, since I finished the original Freeman's Mind. So, but this is just this is like, it's like your internet service provider. This is a best effort thing. Let's, I just checked the chat. Why are you always asking Ross about car repairs? I don't remember that, but that's, I like how some of the mutations work in this. Let's see. Okay, yeah, lost my train of thought. Okay, so I will be I will be not pleased if I get anything less than 3 videos out this month, but more like, let's see. Gotta do it in my head. Yeah, maybe 4. Maybe 4 this month. The only one I'm kind of promising for October, assuming no catastrophe happens, is 1. However, I would absolutely like to have 3, maybe even more. I'm just gonna be grinding through this month and whatever I can squeeze in the next. But starting October, pretty much everything is at play by ear. So I can't commit to, so yeah, this might be the one instance I'm actually withholding a video if I get like the Halloween episode done early. The Halloween one, I may just get like 90% done and finish it off towards Halloween, or I don't know. But so I may actually withhold a video, like a Halloween episode one. Normally I don't like to do that. I like to just throw it up as soon as I get it done, but the special circumstances. So let's see. I think that's it. Yeah, just a lot of videos to do, but progress is going steady so far. Like I think I'm at 85% where I want to be with the videos currently, which is a lot better than it sometimes is. Let's see. Yeah, at least these game dungeons that are coming. Yeah, I'm gonna try to have a second Freeman's Mind this month and one for October too, but no promises at all. But it's just grind away and see what happens. But let's see. All right, so yeah, let me get to the chat questions. There's several of those. One moment. Okay, oh yeah, of course. Okay, so the big news for everybody, for anybody that might not be aware of, though you probably are if you're here, the lead writer, or one of the lead writers of Valve, Mark Laidlaw, essentially leaked the story to Half-Life 2 Episode 3. And it's very refreshing for me to hear everyone all of a sudden say Half-Life 2 Episode 3, because people have been talking about Half-Life 3 forever, and it's like everybody just forgot about Episode 3. Which is still a pretty bad naming scheme, because it went, it went from Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm sure most people take that for granted now, but if you were to just discover the game, you're like, wait, which one came first? Like Episode 1? Well, which one's Half-Life 2 then, you know? But, you know, there were, like, I think I barely heard anything on Half-Life, an actual Half-Life 3 that Valve ever talked about. So yeah, he basically leaked the plot, and that got the internet pretty fired up. And yeah, I read through it. It sounded pretty good. I mean, I was never the biggest fan of Alex, but the rest of it's like, yeah, this is pretty. It kind of makes Valve look bad, really, because the story seemed pretty solid, and it's like, I wasn't that impressed by Episode 1, really. I mean, Episode 2 is better, but once you see 3, you can tell like a lot of the plot elements were kind of building up to Part 3. So, I mean, it makes Valve look bad in the sense that they didn't keep going with it, or, you know, hire a team specifically just to work on that while they worked on something else if they were getting too busy or too tired with that. But okay, so the question here is, will you do a reading of Episode 3 in Gordon Freeman's voice? Because it's written in the first person, like it's a letter to the audience. I got several emails about this. I'm not saying definite no, but to me there's not a whole lot of point to that, because I looked through it. I almost feel like it'd be out of character. Like my version of Freeman is, he kind of strays from like the official Valve interpretation, which is sort of insert fill in the blank, you know. And this didn't really seem like how like my manifestation of Freeman would read it. If it's something people really wanted, I guess I could do it, but I'm not sure what the argument would be for that. However, I will say this. Since they have leaked the plot, if someone ends up releasing a mod that's, you know, basically the fans' interpretation of episode 3, that's, I would say, you know, roughly Black Mesa quality, you know, like they're really going at it. It's not just sort of cobbled together. And like, you know, they got, you know, decent voice actors, decent writers for the rest of it. And it kind of felt like the unofficial ending of it. Basically, if the internet accepts that as like the official or the unofficial conclusion of Half-Life 2, I may as well go through with that on Freeman's mind. Because I figure, you know, once I started Half-Life 2, I figure I had to commit to the rest of it, because I'm not just gonna tease people with the rest of it. Basically, my jumping off point was the end of Half-Life 1. The fact that I went through with it, and especially since the Begathon, I feel like I owe you guys. So, you know, as long as people aren't getting sick of it, you know, I'll try my best on it, but I can't promise much. It's a bit of a juggling act trying to make it more interesting. Though I think I'll have one scene in the next part that you guys will like. Yeah, I may as well go through with it. So, you know, I mean, what am I going to do? Stop on episode 2 if there's the equivalent of episode 3 out there, you know? So, although I will say this, mod makers, give me an option to record demos and like frame by frame export, you know, and some of the tricks and no HUD, you know, basically the tricks you see in Freeman's mind that kind of make it more immersive, because not every engine's going to behave the same way. So if you want to see Freeman's mind for episode 3, give me some tools to work with there. But yeah, okay. So those are my thoughts on episode 3. It looked pretty good from the story. It would have been a better ending than the end of episode 2. Okay. Next question. Can you please say evil like the narrator in The Chosen Well of Souls? Okay, let me try to remember. Evil. Evil. Or something like, a great evil comes upon flaming wings. Like, I'd have to listen to it. I could probably emulate it a lot better if I'm just going by memory. Because some of that did stick. A great evil comes upon flaming wings. It was something like that. That guy has unique talent. They got the voice actor for that. Okay, just a second. I want to feed my paranoia to make sure I'm recording. I am recording. Good. Since you said you're get some people to do voiceovers for the movie, I started wondering how much you'll be involved in the process. How much of your voice exactly will be in it? Because obviously your personality and acting skills are quite important for the atmosphere and must play a dominant role. Will you be doing multiple characters in different voices? I hope not. I will be in the movie. I'm voicing one character. But in general, I'd rather let somebody else who might be better than me focus on their part, maybe do a better job. As for how involved with it I'll be very involved. I'll be directing them, probably online through Skype or something like that. So, in fact, that's going to be one of the requisites for the movie is, for any voice actors, you have to be willing to do unlimited redos or retakes. Because some lines sometimes need just the right emphasis to really get the sound that you want. So, no, I enjoy directing much more than voice acting. So, look, I'll say this: the reason I'm a voice actor has been, and pretty much always will be, is because you are always the most reliable voice actor you know. Because I can always call upon myself to do some line in the middle of the night or do like a quick patch line or push myself harder for that. So that's the reason. It's not that I think I'm the best. It's that I think I'm the most dependable for me and can push myself the hardest on it. So, but yeah, I hope to get many actors for the movie because there's going to be a lot of characters, but I'm not ready yet. Still getting there. Okay, more questions. Do you have any major regrets? Are there any major opportunities that you feel like you missed or things that you feel like you could have taken back and never said in the first place? Well, I've definitely made mistakes, although I think I've been lucky in the sense that a lot of my mistakes, I think, really led to some needed wisdom or in some cases, dumb luck. Like, okay, one I'm thinking of, okay, I gotta be careful how I word this, but like when I originally signed up for Machinima, they were the only game in town for like getting your videos on YouTube because you had no options for protection back then. So if there was a copyright claim against your video, there's nothing you could do basically. You had to be with the network. And Machinima as a medium was particularly vulnerable to that because you're essentially using another company's intellectual property. Now most didn't care, but some did, and Valve was always super mysterious. So Machinima offered me some protection for that. However, the original contract, like this is like back in 2007, that I signed, didn't have that many protections for me. But they were the only, and I was probably a little naive for that one. Kind of like more trusting them because Machinima's the company started as more of a grassroots thing, with people kind of just submitting stuff to their site and things like that before YouTube. So they had much better relationship with the community and everybody. So, and then later I went to work for them for 6 months, and I would say that would be a regret because, okay, I went there basically because I thought I'd have access to more resources to make like my more ambitious ideas. That really ended up not being the case. So I would say that would be a regret, except now I know, whereas if I hadn't, that would always been in the back of my mind. Plus, when I left, I took a very noticeable pay cut to go back on my old contract. However, I got protections written into that contract from 2009, and good Lord, am I glad I did that, because their actions kind of made my life a living hell for months at a time, and those protections, even though they didn't honor them at the beginning and took many months and probably things I can't go into detail about, it's all in the Escape from Machinima post that I made, that kind of saved me. So it's like, it's almost like some butterfly effect stuff was going on where no, this was the best course for the long term, even though it led to some bad choices for the short term. So as for other regrets, and there's other things like, it's good I learned something when I did for a mistake that could have been more extreme. So let's see. Well, okay, this is I guess a light regret because also back in 2009, I was talking with a friend of mine, and we were kind of borderline on maybe getting a couple Radeons and doing Bitcoin mining just for kicks. Like maybe something will come of this, maybe it won't. I think I was treating it with like the same seriousness level as like the SETI screensaver, or that you can donate spare CPU cycles for NASA or other organizations to like decrypt data to kind of search for extraterrestrial life. It was kind of like that, but man, if I had done that, it seems like that's a bit of a regret, seeing how that's turned out. It'd be nice to have a few hundred Bitcoin now. Though I'm still pretty lucky because I got some ones donated when I did the Begathon that I'm holding on to. I hope something comes to that could end up being a retirement. But yeah, and this isn't mine, but I know someone who may have had the opportunity to be in on the very ground level of working on Minecraft back when it was like a mod in development, or early mod in development, that he sort of passed up because he thought maybe this didn't sound serious. So I don't have regrets like that. I don't have any that have like permanently ruined my life. So, you know, that so far so good. Okay, let's see. Okay, they're asking too many. They're asking for stuff that might spoil Freeman's mind. I want to skip that. Sorry. I think I've already revealed more than I should have. You know, part of the fun of it is, you know, having some surprises. So. Let's see. Yeah. This guy's mentioning his only complaint is that I don't have more videos. It bothers me too, man. I'm perpetually searching as a way to get more out without compromising the quality. You know, I got to get real careful about that because, you know, moon gaming was an experiment with that, and that kind of flew me closer to the sun than I should have. Let's see. Okay, but the question, he's talking about Freeman's Mind, episode 15. Gordon screams "monkey on a stick," you know, for the giant tentacle impalement. Let's see. Where did you hear that term? Did you just make it up? Yes, I did make it up. However, I think that I had to stop and think about it. I think that had to be inspired some by the comic Sam and Max, because I think there's like at one point there. It's like, yeah, well, here we are in the Philippines. Yeah, drawn without reference material, apparently. And it was like either the Philippines or Thailand. And they had, it's obvious, like Steve Purcell just threw all this random stuff in there because rather than researching what it's like. And there's like this one guy there with what looks like a hot dog cart, and it says "weasel on a stick." And it's just what it sounds like. It's like a cooked weasel on a stick. And you know, Max the rabbit buys one, and then, you know, I think Sam smacks it out of his hands like, Jesus, Max, don't eat that. Like, so I think that must have permeated my brain enough so to have a sort of a twist on it for Freeman's Mind. So I think it probably is derivative. Okay. In the Boppin episode, it seemed to me there were passive-aggressive undertones from you towards the guest reviewer. Let's see, was there any animosity between you two? No, not at all. I'm good friends with Tom. I think what I was trying to go for, maybe it didn't come out, is that I was just sort of casually enjoying this and kind of looking at the positive side, and Tom was kind of being tormented by the game. So I thought the contrast to be kind of nice. Like, I think the most obvious point of that was when Tom goes into this like minute-long speech about how awful the boss was. And I actually didn't have that many problems with it. So it's like, okay, well, Tom had a little more trouble with it than I did, but you know, just try to downplay it. So it's just, you know, maybe that wasn't the strongest episode, but the idea was to, you know, just have a contrast between, you know, I'm just sort of going through this and having a good time, and Tom's being tortured. So. Hi Ross, what has been the best and last music gig concert that you've seen in person? I haven't been to a lot because those tend to cost money and require transportation and things. And a good portion of my life, I haven't had a whole lot of money to throw around. But okay, the best, like I've been to a couple raves where I didn't even know who the people were, but the atmosphere was kind of neat. But the best, I hope to make an animated video on it, like a short, because things happen there that I think would make a good video. The band, it was for Red Hot Chili Peppers. I got a free invite from a friend. They're not really my favorite band. I mean, I think they're just sort of okay, which I'm sure it's probably sounded like blasphemy to some people in the audience, but they're just sort of okay to me. But the things that happened at that concert were in my mind for the rest of my life, and I think it'd make a great video. So that might be the best. The last one I saw my girlfriend and I went. I think she really wanted to go to a concert where there's somebody else playing that I forgot the name of. Oh no, it was something else going on at a machinima the machinima the medium, not the company. It was this machinima festival I got invited to in a different part of Poland, and there was a concert going on there at the same time. So I got to go and see Prodigy. Although I can't say that was I like Prodigy. Although I can't say it was the best one because they had so much smoke on the stage, it could have been imposters for all I know. I mean, all I ever saw was a silhouette of the group. So I don't know if that's their style. Usually with music, I tend to just follow the music and not pay that much attention to the bands unless I get really interested in. So, but yeah, I mean, it was fun, but I literally had no way of verifying that was actually Prodigy there. I mean, there was some guy on a mic that sounded like them, but all I saw was silhouettes. That's how much smoke they had. So, yeah, but I haven't been to any of the I guess classic ones. I've heard Metallica has played their music so loud at some of their concerts that it's equivalent to like volume wise, depending on where you were at some of their concerts, is equivalent to a 747 engine taking off or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's just a rumor. I don't know, or somebody's verified it. That'd be a good fact checking thing. It seems like that'd be an interesting one to go to. But although I admit I would probably wuss out and use like put some earplugs if they were actually playing it that loud. But that's kind of cool then, because then you can walk right up to the speakers and like right up to the front, and just the bass and everything just blasts through you like a wave. It's pretty cool. So let's see. Okay. In Freeman's mind, there is a ridiculously large amount of friendly fire between soldiers. Let's see. He's played both Half-Life 1 and 2 quite a lot, and he never had this much friendly fire. Now that Freeman's Mind 2 is being made, I can't help but notice friendly fire between civil protection soldiers in the very first action-filled episode. Do you specifically manipulate NPCs to shoot each other for comedic effect, or are you really just that lucky to get this accidentally? I do not manipulate their behaviors, really. Although there's a couple things going on. I do lower their health to try to more resemble somebody being shot. I'm kind of going halfway between realism versus video game. So because, look, even if, how many shots can somebody take and they're still upright firing? My point is that I just want to drop them to kind of give more gravity to a gun rather than just like pop, 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 pop. I mean, that, because like something in my brain snaps whenever you have to do that, unless they look like they're a freaking mech or something, because no, I'm not buying it. The guy that got shot a couple of times, he should be down or just twitching badly or, something. So that might be more noticeable because of that. Now, the other thing is, there were some episodes where, this isn't more than like one or two though, where I went through it multiple times, trying to get it right. And during some of the takes, it played out a little differently and there was friendly fire. And then if it did look funny, I wanted to keep it. So, there is a little bit of that, but that's only like a couple episodes, maybe 2, 3 max. And the other manipulation I do is sometimes, this is pretty rare, I haven't done it in 2 so far, where sometimes like I wanted to complete my thought or conversation that I knew I was going to have or something or I wanted the timing to be a little bit right. Like say I knew the guys are right around the corner and I know they're going to come at me. I might hit a hotkey to turn no target mode on, so they're not going to run right around at me, or they're not going to notice me that second because I wanted to finish my sentence. And then as soon as I finish my spot, then I hit it, then they come at me. I think I might have done that where, in Freeman's Mind, where you first run into the military. Like they kill the scientist. Like I had a couple lines and then they see you and then run right at you because I felt like that played out more naturally, more better, or more naturally or more better way to watch than to just, go after you the second they have. But I haven't done that in 2 so far. But if something jumps out at me, I might do something like that. But no, I'm not telling them to kill the other people the way they do. That's all default AI. I'm not touching the AI at all, besides what I mentioned. So, okay. Oh yeah, and for anybody in the chat, I will answer live questions at the end. Although I've gotten to the point now where I just sort of pick and choose the ones I like. So, or that sound interesting, something like that. Yeah, again, if there's ever a dying question you want, put it on the Reddit thing ahead of time. That way more people can vote on it and it goes up to the top. So, okay. Oh yeah, this is interesting. I hadn't heard this. Do you have thoughts on that time some guy found a disk containing the source code to StarCraft, posting about it all over Reddit, and that wound up shipping it back to Blizzard instead of actually doing anything with it? There was a lot of arguing whether or not he should have released it anonymously on some other site. Well, for StarCraft in particular, okay, I like StarCraft, but I'm not like #1 fan who knows, all the intricacies of it or anything. Just my knee-jerk reaction would be that it's not that big a deal if, the community doesn't have the code to that because, I think, yeah, they had the recent remaster of it, which I heard was decently done. But, some things would just change the course of gaming history if you release the source code on them. StarCraft, I don't really see it that way that much, but maybe there's some big, like a few, like, okay, one example I know of that somebody else told me about, apparently I think it was on Reddit or something, in like a PC gaming section, somebody was showing off his case where he managed to get a hold of the original developer machine for the original Xbox, because I can't say Xbox One because it's a stupid name. Okay, so the original Xbox, he had a developer machine for it with like all the code on it and everything, and he just wiped everything and just turned it into a PC case and tried to show it off, and pretty much the entire internet told him he was an idiot because best to my knowledge, there are no working original Xbox emulators. So that would have, that code base could have led to a working Xbox emulator. And man, that would be great to have. I'm all about being able to play good games in the future. And once you're talking about an entire console platform, of course there's going to be a lot of good games. So that would have made a huge difference. Or other things, it just depends on the game and the reference. One thing that's come to mind, I think they have released the source code, but the original Grand Theft Auto, I think one of the original developers for it said he was sort of toying with the idea of making it kind of like the more modern Grand Theft Autos and give it like a kind of a third-person view, like on ground level. And that'd be awesome because it would be almost like a new game then because everything was top-down. But man, you turn that into 3D view, yeah, it would look awkward because the graphics weren't designed for that. But that would be a very cool way to explore the game and replay it. I mean, I'd be interested in playing it like that. So, yeah, it just depends. I think probably the worst is when the source code gets released to the game and the game's not even out. Like I think Doom 3 got hit like that. I mean, Half-Life 2 did also, but because then it's like you're undermining it before they're even able to. The analogy I've heard, it's like ripping. It's like a painter in the middle of a painting and just ripping their canvas off the easel and just showing it off to everybody. It's like, well, give them a chance there. I mean, as for the copyright stuff, you don't want to hurt the developer with it, but I think Blizzard's doing okay from StarCraft. I think they're doing okay. So yeah, I think it really depends on what you're getting. Like if it's if this will preserve the game or just blow open the number of possibilities, yeah, I'd rather see them release the source code. Like Fuel, that's a game I'd like to see have the source code released because boy, that is a game screaming to be modded, but there's only so much they can do with it. Let's see. Will you ever do an office tour? Or maybe a rig setup where you spin the camera around to look at what you work with? Well, I don't know, man, but it's kind of a mess right now, to be honest. But I did do that in one of the earlier video chats. Maybe somebody can put in the comments which video that was. I can probably do it again, but I'm kind of not really ready for it at the moment. It just, you see papers and boxes and little hard drives, but that'll be there anyway, just lying all over. It's nothing that impressive. Let's see. Oh, but you see, by the way, if I've skipped some of the questions in previous video chats, if they weren't something like obviously like really personal or something, you can try again. It could be I just accidentally missed it while scrolling down here because I almost did that just now. If there was a Quake Championship-ish game made by Valve with Valve characters from Half-Life, Team Fortress 2, etc., like a brand new Deathmatch Classic, would you be interested in it? What would it look like or play like in your imagination? I don't know. It's kind of weird because Valve, see with Quake, you know, I think they're taking stuff from Doom and the Quake series. Well, that all sort of fits together pretty well. You know, thematically, but Valve, I mean, you're mixing Team Fortress 2 with Counter-Strike, with Dota, with, I mean, it just seems like it'd be a bit of a mess, kind of more like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit kind of existence, which I don't know. I mean, I'm sure some people would love that, but that's not my thing so much. However, I was a big fan of Team Fortress Classic, so I wouldn't mind seeing something with that come back. Or see some weird crossover between that and Counter-Strike or something like that. But again, you have to remember, I've sort of burned out the Half-Life portion of my brain, so I'm not the right person to ask about, like, oh, what do you hope they'll do for Half-Life or things related to that. It's burned out. It's like asking a computer program or something. What type of diet and exercise, if any, helps you avoid problems like headaches and overall fatigue with a job that is almost entirely computer-based? Do you have any tips to help stay focused and keep your energy up? Well, I may be lucky in that I'm pretty rare that it's pretty rare that I get a headache. Like, you know, maybe twice a year or something like that. Okay, well, a few things. Well, okay, for diet and exercise, this could apply to almost anybody, really. The two kind of biggest culprits to making you feel terrible or having big energy or concentration swings, at least for me, are sugar and anything kind of like sugar, you know, like high fructose corn syrup, agave syrup, or whatever the sweeteners they have, and white flour. So, you know, just like pure, complete, kind of processed, refined white flour. Those look, if I have that stuff, it's almost, I want to say, like if I have a decent amount of that, or it can almost be like I have attention deficit disorder. And I will say the cure for that, at least for me, is like kind of a certain amount of aerobic exercise. Like I run just about every day. And you know, I mean, yeah, I do it for health, but I do it more for concentration because if I don't do that, my brain's just so scattered with the thoughts, and it's not pleasant feeling either. So, yeah, I had one friend of mine say, I love the way he said it. It's like, yeah, exercise does sort of keep away the crazy, is what he said. Uh, let's see. So yeah, but yeah, going back to the headache thing, things that could aggravate it, you know, especially depending on the monitor. It depends on your monitor. With my current one, I actually go to the color settings and kind of reduce the gamma on it just a little bit because it's just blasting me by default, even with the brightness on it. I'd love to kind of figure out. I do a lot of. It's getting harder with Windows, but in the past and now I've done a lot of GUI modding. So I have like different shells, different third-party programs. Yeah, people have looked at my computer and thought, "Oh, are you running Linux?" Or they seem real confused. Uh, so I'd love to come up with something that's kind of easier on the eyes with like the frames and everything. But the problem is getting all the windows like that. So you don't have like just a nice sort of little bit dark theme, and then all of a sudden like one window comes up, it's like solid white. I imagine that could contribute to headaches in the long term for people. But also, maybe this makes a difference, maybe not. I was an early adopter of an IPS monitor that was good enough for gaming. Now they almost all are, but uh, you might notice one of the things that drove me crazy about TN monitors. These are types of LCD monitors. If you don't know what I'm talking about, is like the color would shift depending on what angle you're at, and that would just drive me crazy. I mean, like if you were like a little bit higher or a little bit lower, the brightness and everything would shift. It's a lot better now, but maybe having I went straight from a CRT monitor, the big bulky kind, to an IPS one. Also, I've heard for neck pain, I think like keeping your monitor. Maybe I'm wrong here, okay, but this has worked for me. Is keeping your monitor basically so the center of it is like if you're just sitting straight looking forward, then that's the center of your monitor. That's how I tend to have it. But I know some people like to have like the top where your eyes are and then you look down, but I don't really like how that feels. But yeah, exercise can solve a surprising number of problems, like aerobic exercise especially. Like, and yeah, although, yeah, I was going to say, especially in USA, good luck trying to eat without having sugar added to your food because it's insane. I plan on doing a video and something about that later. I think I can make it pretty funny. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Russ, you said we Happy Few as a game you were following. Sort of following. It's more like I heard about it. This sounds cool, so it's what I'm looking forward to. What's your reaction to the developer's decision to go with Gearbox as a publisher? The price has doubled with a pre-order bonus. They are adding console versions and a retail deluxe edition. There will also be DLC and a season pass. I was very interested in the game too, but the turn towards a AAA title release makes me hesitant. It's sort of I almost want to say it's sort of the exception when a AAA game does not have all that stuff now. To me, everything you just said says, Ross, you should really wait on this title. Wait a year or two after its release because, once they have all the stuff packed in there, it's all patched, because that's what every time I hear about all this stuff does to me. Yeah, you should really wait. Let them just iron it out, get all the content in there. With Gearbox as the publisher, who knows? Because they've certainly dropped the ball on some things. I actually saw some clips where they were re-releasing Bulletstorm and as Duke Nukem. You can play as Duke Nukem as an option. And then they didn't even do any lip syncing for it. They just pulled the animations for the original character and it just looked terrible. Because there were different lines. I mean, it was like, wow, that's pretty bad. So I get the feeling Gearbox doesn't care that much, but the developers probably do. And if I had to, I don't know, but if I had to guess, Gearbox is okay with the developers caring and maybe the two can align. I guess the positive of this is maybe they'll get more money to like really flesh this out. So even though you have all these junk that you don't want, then maybe the other half of that is you have a game that is like, 10 or 12 hours with like a good story toward for it, or many more mechanics they were able to work in, but they wouldn't have been able to, or cutscenes. Boy, that'll slow down a game. I mean the production time, that you wouldn't have had if they were just going the complete indie route. So I don't know. I think I have to pass judgment on it. Maybe it turns into like a Faustian bargain that sort of works out, but I don't know. I try to keep an open mind on this stuff and just kind of come in and scavenge afterwards. So I hope they don't. I can see it going either way, but I'm in this particular case I'm a little more optimistic because the developers, man, they got me interested with their presentation. So Gearbox would almost have to sort of work to screw it up. Or maybe not give them enough time, but we'll see. Okay. That's going to be a future Ross rants. I don't want to give, again, that's the sort of thing I don't want to give away too much. And then, although I have to comment, somebody below this says he wanted to do one on open source software. No, I didn't really. I didn't have that planned. I mean, it's generally good, but I figure there's people who are way more knowledgeable in that sort of thing than I am. Hey Ross, would you rather lose a sense and gain a limb or lose a limb and gain a sense? Well, I guess it depends on the sense and the limb. Because, if I lost my leg, that'd be pretty bad. Or well, really any of them. But, and if your sense, like say it's telepathy, but then say you can't turn it off, that might be a living hell. So, whereas if you're gaining a limb, you'd have to figure out, and losing a sense, well, if you're losing sight, that's pretty rough. Sight and hearing especially. I think, yeah, I'd have to, you know how some questions you sort of have to bust out the calculator and do the math to figure out what your probability is of going with it either way. Because it's not completely intuitive, but then you realize, oh, I have a 30% chance, like if it's completely random, which one? Like, oh, I have a 30% chance of not losing something completely vital to me if I go with this one. Or I gain a sense that's terrible, So, I don't know. I think it's one I won't have to worry about either way. I will say my dad literally has no sense of smell. Like he was born that way. And his life seems to have been pretty okay. So I'll end it with that. And as a joke, I have like a bloodhound level of smell. So it's like I got all the genes dumped onto me. They skipped him. I'd say it's more a curse than a blessing. Let's see. Why don't you put Dead Game News or Accursed Farms Junk in the Accursed Farms featured channel section? You could also put Weird Video Games channel in there too. Or promoting your own various channels. I literally didn't even know that was an option. I always assumed that was just something YouTube did automatically. Ever since YouTube did their last big UI change, it sort of scared me off from it. And like I've seen, now I'm confused because when I did launch those other channels, and oh yeah, by the way, I'm really trying to get to work squeeze time and to get Dead Game News. I really thought I was going to have it in last month, but it's coming. It's coming. I was thinking, oh, I should make a channel intro video, and I was kind of preparing sort of a script for that and everything. And then at the time, the way I read it, and from every confirmation I found and instructions on it, you could not have a channel intro video at that time unless you already had an existing one from before. Like, you know, they were grandfathering in the old ones, but then you couldn't add new ones. I was thinking, oh, well, okay, I can't have it, so there's no point. But apparently that's not true, or it changed, or it's just like, geez, I don't know. I have to, I kind of need to clean up things. And the website, things are finally happening on it now. The website, it's both my fault and it isn't, because it's my fault in the sense that I'm the captain, so the responsibility falls on me if it doesn't happen. However, you know, getting it updated so it doesn't look like garbage on mobile devices and adding some extra features. But the other thing is that, lost my train of thought. That the guy, he kind of kept postponing me, but he is doing stuff on it now. So I think it is worth waiting on this particular guy because he's kind of paranoid about security. And I have certainly had security issues with the website in the past with, you know, scammers, well, not scammers, spammers, and people trying to break in, DDoS stuff. I've seen a lot of stuff. So I like having paranoid people handle your security. It's a good match. But yeah, I just need to do more. Same with the thumbnails for the YouTube channel. I really need to do a better job on that. Where does most of your inspiration come from? Geez, I don't know. I mean, it just sort of enters my head. I'd say I've always had a pretty active imagination. So, you know, if you just pretend you're just sitting around at something that's not that interesting and thoughts start coming in your head, like where did that come from? I guess, you know, it could come from anywhere. It's almost like dreaming. So the more sort of experiences or things you're exposed to have, let's see, the more, I guess, your brain might have to work with, I guess. So, have you ever learned a foreign language besides Polish to any substantial degree? Are you interested in any that you haven't learned? Okay, because of requirement in high school, I had 2 years of French and 2 years of Latin. I think there were 3 choices. Like it was, no, 4, I guess. Okay, French, German, Latin, and Spanish were the choices. And I think you had to have 3 of one year or 2 of each. And once you got to the 3rd year, it got pretty hard. It is embarrassing how much I have forgotten of that. I mean, I still know a few phrases. Yeah. Je parle un peu français. You know, it's très un peu. I haven't pronounced it in forever, so I'm sure my pronunciation's terrible now too. And with Latin, I remember even less. It just went in one ear out the other almost. And I really just want to learn more Polish because that has the most practicality for me. I'm still pretty good on foods, but even that's slipping a little bit. I really just need to throw more time at it, and time has not been at a premium. And geez, I am sweating now. We'll see if it wasn't as hot as last. I have a fan on me. It wasn't as hot as last time, but man, I may be looking more like a refugee by the end of this. So yeah, I mostly just want to learn Polish. I don't have like an innate interest in languages beyond their practicality. You know, of course, it's awesome to be able to speak another language where that opens up a world of possibilities as to where you can live and things you can do there. So, but other than that, no, not particularly. It just depends where I'm living, really. Okay. Oh, they have another question. Also, I just realized that you're verified on YouTube. How does this make you feel? Do you feel a little more like a celebrity? I hope so. I was not even aware of that, and I'm not entirely sure what that means. So I guess no, sorry, but I'm happy people enjoy the videos, and I try my best not to let people down, even though I think that's kind of inevitable with my production rate. However, I hope the movie will kind of redeem myself with it. Yeah, I was gonna say with YouTube, I remember when I passed, I think it was 100,000 subscribers. I got several emails. Oh, Ross, are you gonna do a video on your silver button? I was like, silver button? What? And I had to look it up. I hadn't even heard of that. Apparently, if you get 100,000 viewers, that YouTube sends you a little plaque award that has a silver play button for YouTube. I never got that. I never got an email about it. I never got any notification of it. I never got anything of it at all. So I, I think YouTube probably cares as much about me as I care about every little feature of YouTube. So, like, which these days may actually be a good thing to be ignored by YouTube. So I don't know. Yeah, the moral of this story is YouTube does whatever it wants. I think that's the lesson to take away from this. Hey Russ, do you ever plan on making future Freeman's Mind 2 episodes that expand longer than 10 minutes or less? Yeah, I think 2 did. I'm pretty sure that one was over 10 minutes. It's just, I don't know, that's sort of the range I aim for. I'm fine with even short of that. It just sort of comes down to the what's a good jumping off spot, you know? And if I feel like it's just going on too long and there's not going to be a good jumping off spot, then I have to sort of create my own. Well, the last one, you know, he's pinned by the cops. I mean, there's not really a real obvious spot to me. Maybe when he jumped in the water for the canals, but whereas the teleporter at the end of episode 2, no, that had to be the jumping off spot. I mean that you don't have a more natural one than that. So, yeah. I figured it's self-evident, but I still get questions about it. If you ever wonder why there's not a comment in the credits when Freeman is in between teleports, that's because he's in between teleports. I figure he's in a different existence when the credits are rolling for that stuff. So, it's not that I don't want one. It's that I feel like it would sort of break the pattern there. Okay, let's see. Do you think people can make an episode 3 mod? And let's see. Yeah, I think they can. Somebody's asking what's my take on it, which I sort of answered. Yeah. I should mention, if you do, I think you'd be crazy not to track down, is it Kevin Sisk? He did the voice of Barney in Black Mesa. It's been a while since I've talked to him, but boy, you're not going to find a better Barney, I don't think. So, I've literally only played episode 2 once. I don't think Barney died in that. So, yeah, I mean, you're still going to need writers and try to get some people who sort of sound like the voice actors for the different characters. But let's see. Because that can be kind of tricky. But yeah, if you have a good writer for all the dialogue, because even though the writer laid out the plot, you still have to pencil in everything else. Although that might be easier than I think, because Valve sure loves their gaps, and letting you figure out what's going on. I'm sure you can find competent level designers and stuff, and designing the stuff they have planned at the end might be a little tricky to pull off, but it certainly seems doable. I think the biggest hurdle is just making it, really, because making a mod that is that long, it's still a lot of work. So yeah, look at Black Mesa. That took them a little bit of time, and they're not done. So I think it would be shorter than Black Mesa, but at the same time, well, you'll see. It might get similar support as Black Mesa. We'll find out. Because really, if you had to choose, pretend pretend we went back in time, 8 or 10 years here. Would you rather see a Source engine remake of Half-Life 1 or Episode 3? I think everybody would go with episode 3. So, if you had to choose. So maybe it'll get even more support. We'll see. What are your thoughts on single-player loot crates? Middle-earth Shadow of War will include loot crates that you can purchase with real money, containing items that you would normally have to grind for to get. They are optional, but my tinfoil hat persona says they may artificially bump the difficulty in order to pressure you into buying the crates. Well, there's two thoughts in this. One, as long as you can beat the game without this stuff, a reasonable person can do it without just, doing backflips in terms of gameplay, then I think that's not that big a deal. However, once you're talking about a single player game that has like a real narrative element, in my opinion, it cheapens the game. It just inevitably cheapens the game. Because when I play a game, I like to get a little lost in it. Kind of be thinking about what's coming next or what that character said or where are we going. And every time you see that, no, this is locked off. You have to unlock this with what was it, Middle Earth? So Hobbit points. Okay, you need to pay 50 Hobbit points to unlock this crate. And it's just like, hey, would you like some more Hobbit points? Please go online to that inevitably. I think there's no way for that not to cheapen the game. The only way you can maybe get away with that is if it's like a contemporary game where it's like in an urban environment or something where ads are sort of part of the reality anyway. Like one of the best places to have ads is like in a racing game where you have like some billboard in the middle of a city. Because you know what? That kind of blends in. That's how it is in real life. So that doesn't rip you out of the game so much. But I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's a brave new world in terms of financing for games, and this is part of it. But in terms of just the impact, whenever you do that, you are cheapening your game. And I don't know, that's a good question for the audience. I'll try and check the chat here. Is there any game that just is one of the best games you ever played that had this stuff? I mean, it doesn't have to be one that's like my favorite, but that had this stuff, and it was just so great. Even though, I mean, like, had this stuff where you can't ignore it. Like, you cannot play through the main game and just not encounter this stuff. It's gonna come at you. So, I think that's a good way to look at it. And I think it's always gonna take off a little bit in your mind of that overall impression. So, for multiplayer stuff where, you're not necessarily thinking about the story or anything like that, and it really is just a raw gameplay thing, then that's not as big a deal, I think. Again, people can disagree with me, but I think Planetside 2 is one of the ways to do it right, because that's just a multiplayer thing. It's really not story oriented, and it's almost just like a gameplay mechanic, the way they have the points set up. So I think I think it can sort of work there for multiplayer, but single player, man, it's not good. Okay, somebody's saying Battlefield Bad Company 2 had the best story in an FPS. Well, geez, I might have to check that out. I heard it had good multiplayer because you can blow up everything. I usually don't play that many without some element of escapism, but if it's like the best story, I could look into it. Okay, somebody's saying Mass Effect 2 and 3. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody's saying Fallout New Vegas. Okay, I don't remember any transactions of Fallout New Vegas. They did come out with DLC stuff later, which I haven't played, but if you just play through the original game, like, I don't remember like any, hi, would you like to buy, bottle caps or something with your credit card? So I don't know. Okay, people are listing like Morrowind. Yeah, Morrowind didn't have that. Wolfenstein New Order, I heard, is very good, but I haven't played that yet. I want to, though. Okay. Okay, I basically answered the episode 3 stuff. Yeah, it's been over an hour. Okay, let's see. What is your favorite medieval or Renaissance weapon? It's not something I've given a lot of thought to. If I had to pick on the spot, I'd say maybe like a spiked mace. You know, the ones that have. Maybe there's a more specific term for it. I don't know. It's basically where you have like a sphere with spikes in every angle, just because it looks so menacing. And it's like, would this be used for anything besides combat? No. Like, it's just, it has a nice sort of aesthetic to it. Okay, somebody's saying Metal Gear Solid 5 for the game. I heard that was very good. Okay. Have you ever played or looked at Fallen London? I should, and he's mentioning they've made a cultist simulator game. I have heard of the cultist simulator game, but it's just a card game, and it seemed kind of minimalistic in terms of the aesthetics. So I don't know. For Fallen London, what? Yeah, somebody's saying, Ross, your fans have names other than someone. Yeah, fine. Okay. Delta Leon dude. I wasn't sure if it was like Delta Italian dude or Delta Leon dude. Look, it's just going to slow down everything if I read everybody's name. Because, like, look, above this we have Erasmus Rodamsus, which I'm probably terribly pronouncing. So it would just be like that. And then you're going to have people with obscene names. So, yeah, Fallen London, I should maybe I still need to play Sunless Sea, but the learning curve kind of threw me off. And then I think Fallen London came before that, so maybe I should be playing that first. So I'll have to take a look at it. However, I really do appreciate having some graphics. So if Fallen London is just heavily text-based, then I might just skip straight to Sunless Sea. I'm going to get to that at some point. Some games, it's like, man, it's like, I try like, no, learning curve's too high. I come back several months later, get farther, now it's starting to, it's like trying to start a lawnmower, you know, except spread out over a year or two. And then I finally get into the games like, and then I get into it. Quake Wars was actually like that for me to begin with. Same with Planetside 2. So, yeah, because I really love the theme, but man, the gameplay has like a wall for me at the beginning that I just kind of want to. I really appreciate games that can kind of give you the complex stuff as you go, rather than just kind of punch you as soon as you get in. Because I can handle complex, but man, it needs to be kind of fed to me a little bit for some games. However, some games I like the theme so much, I'll go through it. Yeah, I'm still answering chat questions. Okay, I'll try to speed this up a little bit. Would you ever write a Duke Nukem's Mind for Clint from Lazy Game Reviews to narrate? That would be fun. I still like the idea of some sort of collaborative project if we can figure out something. However, I don't think most people would be happy to do like a Freeman's Mind type thing the way I do it. Because it's like, because the writing and editing and voicing is all done pretty much at the same time. And it's like you'll do a couple lines and then just a long pause. And it's like, oh, then you have to redo the lines to adjust it for timing. And it's not a very fun process, really. And I don't think most people want to have that inflicted upon them. Okay, I wanted to be sure, but I wanted to say this too. As a bit of an aside, Tyler from Valve News Network, he told me before that he tried doing one of his videos, like a research kind of presentation one, kind of similar to Game Dungeon, you know, kind of having a little more watchable. And he said it took him 2 weeks to just do that video, and he's used to be able to bang him out in a day or two. So, like, he was almost in shock from doing it like that. So, I imagine it might be a little bit like that. I mean, boy, Clint can get those videos out for Lazy Game Reviews. I should figure out his. Maybe I should figure out what he's doing. So. Hey Russ, if you ever find yourself in a zombie apocalypse, where do you think the best place to find shelter is? And he's throwing around maybe Walmart because they have everything. Well, it's not something I've given a whole lot of thought to because they aren't really real. But I think one of the best. I think one of the best would be to just grab supplies you can, especially since I've lived in more temperate climates most of my life, like Virginia, Pennsylvania, Louisiana. It's not it's still temperate. It's hot. Just so there's a lot of vegetation around and a lot of countryside once you get outside of the cities. What I would try to do if it was like a full-on zombie apocalypse. I think I saw this in a movie, and I forget the name of it, but it wasn't that great. But I remember thinking this was a good way to do it. It had some actor who was also in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Has a little bit of bug-eyed look to him, curly hair. But maybe somebody will figure out which movie it is or the actor. But basically, try to get out to the countryside. If it's a zombie apocalypse, maybe some couple's been hit or they can't make it back to their house, or maybe it's some vacation home or something, or somebody with a farm. Try to get there, get some food, wait for the worst scavengers to kind of fight it out, then just sort of hit small places within a radius around there, and then start farming and building your barricade and the rest of it. So just get out of Dodge essentially to a place where you can grow food, because man, if that was like in the middle of the desert, like outside of LA or something, forget it. Get out, keep going. Get out of wasteland. Get to someplace you can grow food. Yeah. And also for places like that are more temperate, you have natural cover from trees, so that your odds of being discovered by raiders or something are lower. Whereas if you were like in, the plains of Kansas or something, yeah, people might be able to find out where you are from quite a distance. So, okay, let's see. What made you pick Philadelphia as a place to attend college? Well, considering how I've never even been to Philadelphia, I don't know. Okay, next question. What would your ideal weapon for surviving in a what would be your ideal weapon for surviving in a zombie outbreak? Melee only. I think I've only seen one movie that actually took this seriously, but maybe others have too that I'm just forgetting. I think it was Planet Terror. It was part of the Grindhouse double, but it was this guy is going and killing these zombies, but the first thing he does is, I think he might have put on gloves, but he also puts on one of those sort of dust filter mask to prevent any little residue from the zombie blood or whatever from getting in his kind of cavities. You really should cover your eyes too. Maybe he did. And I would think you would want something like that first to just cover, because I think 28 Days Later had something like that, where just like the smallest drop landed in his eye. That's it. He's a zombie. So if you don't have that kind of equipment, you kind of want as minimum splatter as possible. In which case, I would just want a long sort of wooden rod, like a curtain rod or something. Just shove them back and keep going. I guess that's for the Romero type zombies. If they're fast and you have to bring them down, I don't know, maybe a bat or something where you want something where your blade doesn't get stuck in the zombie, I guess. So I think you would want something kind of blunt that wouldn't be an issue. But yeah, if there's a high chance of infection, just a pull to just shove them back as far as I can and keep running. Do you have a Discord or plans to have a Discord server or something? The guy who runs the Reddit channel, Jack Athan, has set one up, although I haven't been on it, even though he's tried to get me to. I've been busy, guys. Again, these chats are sort of the pressure release valve here, you know. So it's not perfect, but it takes care of the worst overflow, I hope, you know, with interacting with people. In the past, you've mentioned how adventure games are usually unfair with nonsensical, unintuitive puzzle logic, which is something of a frustration, as I always feel cheap using a walkthrough. Do you have any favorites of the genre that are more fun and logical approach to its challenge? Well, Puzzle Agent. You can't blame them for pulling cheap puzzles in that. And again, I did beat Still Life, the original, with no hints. And I've also beaten Space Quest, the VGA remake, with no hints. Space Quest 1. However, that might have had cheap stuff that I just got lucky on. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've beaten that one. Geez, what are some others that don't get cheap? Probably more modern ones. Because there's a spectrum, because if you get to something like The Walking Dead or the Telltale games, their puzzles are almost non-existent. Well, there is another one, but I think I'll probably cover it later, so I might hold off on it. The title, but yeah, the easiest answer. Well, okay, yeah, I guess for old ones, you have the ones that are just much more puzzle focused, like Island of Dr. Brain and Castle of Dr. Brain. But yeah, in general, just avoid anything from the 90s, and the more recent, the better, really, as far as the puzzle stuff. Unless they're trying to be retro and have the terrible puzzles, in which case, yeah, then I don't know. I don't have easy answers, but I'm a little bit behind on those too. So let's see. Did somebody guess the movie or the actor? No, they didn't. At least I'm not seeing it. So it wasn't that great a movie, but that was their general idea, that they were just sort of going to some house in the middle of nowhere to ride out the zombie apocalypse. Okay, I don't understand how these are ranked, because I was like, okay, this says on the Reddit, it says this has 2 points, and it goes, this has 5 points. I don't know. I assume they ranked it by the most popular, which they sort of do, but then don't. Okay. Have you played Unreal 2? I think it'd make a great Game Dungeon episode. It was massively scaled down from its ambitious design, and apparently caused the demise of Legend Entertainment. I didn't know it was scaled down. Yes, I have played it. The environments were great. I thought it was pretty generic other than that, but like they're sort of struggling to come up with a story, or I felt just sort of like, okay, this is... I mean, it has a nice little twist. It's okay. I mean, I'd say the story is like pretty comparable to Halo 1. Really, some of the gameplay too, but the environments are awesome. Like you have a living planet, you have that weird sort of fluorescent area, from what I remember, or maybe that might have been the same thing. I'm trying to remember. You have exotic alien planets. Again, I'm not going to get tired of that stuff, like really fleshed out alien environments. So yeah, I mean, it has its ups and downs, but it's kind of just so overall, was my impression. Let's see. Okay, I've been asked this. Okay. So yeah, this is like a game show. You've asked the question that's been asked a whole lot of times. Like they're asking, have I ever played the Stalker series of games? I played the first one. And so now I'm just going to pick and choose the rest of these, and just, I'm skipping any ones that I think I don't have that great an answer for. Has your recording process changed as you've gotten more experienced? This was depressing. I remember reading a blog post years ago about how you recorded, acted, and edited. It sounded like so much work. Have you done anything to streamline it? Not really. I get help sometimes. that's a long-term goal that it seems like I'm always not quite there because I'm making more videos in the short term. So it's like a dog, you know, that a dog that's real excited to go for a walk, but you can't get their leash undone. You can't get the leash on them because they're so excited and moving around. So it's like they're delaying it by what they're doing, even though you're trying to get them to what they really want to do. So it's sort of like that. This is okay. This question's a little. Some of these questions I would answer, but they need more votes up. They're a little too generic. Well, okay, I'll answer this one. Any update about your music sorting thread? Still interested in that. That is a personal quest for me. Anyone who wants to help figure out how to organize soundtracks sort of by genre or mood, let me know, because the current system is soundtrack. Oh, that's what the current music industry classifies pretty much every soundtrack as soundtrack. Oh, classical stuff with some weird electronic elements. Oh, it's soundtrack. Oh, it's heavy metal. Oh, it's Latin music with this other twist. No, it's soundtrack. Like, it's frustrating. So, and then it has a wider range than what you get from regular music genres. So yeah, you can always email me about that. rosswscott@gmail.com. I'll definitely make a video on it once I figure it out or get close to figuring it out. Okay, more episode 3 questions. Wow, that's a long one. Okay, he's basically talking about how Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 are kind of disorienting. Oh, okay, I didn't know this. Apparently, in early iterations of Half-Life 2's story, you were never meant to rejoin with other Black Mesa scientists in City 17 at all. That might have strengthened the game, in my opinion. Though I do like Kleiner. So. Do you personally feel that the Half-Life series as a whole is terrible at telling its story in a cohesive way, or just terrible at telling stories, period, despite having an actual writer work on the series since the first game? Well, it depends what you mean as a whole. I mean, I still haven't read, Raising the Bar. I think with all the clues they leave everywhere, they explain a lot more. And look, after looking at the plot for episode 3, I can't really pan it that much. They certainly had a story going on there. However, they do have a touch of what I was talking about in Realms of the Haunting, with the lost disease, where it's like, yeah, let's keep making things up and never really explain things because we don't know. No, I don't think it's terrible. Look, they give you enough to go on to spark your imagination and be interested in what's coming. That's better than just having no clue at all. Half-Life is good at making you think, oh, yeah, that happened because, oh, wait, why did that happen? Like, you think maybe you should know the answer, but you don't. So, no, I wouldn't say it's terrible, but I would say it's overrated. But I was liking what they were doing with episode 3, so. But yeah, it would be nice if they gave you a lot more answers at some point, But let's see, because even with episode 3, you're getting some answers, but it kind of I feel like fans kind of want a few more at this point, Okay, MMO story, I'm still going through those. Yeah, either post those in the forum. Yeah, for my birthday video, if you want to give me an MMOs, post those in the forum on Accursed Farms, or else email me. I'll read them eventually. It's gonna take a long time. I'll probably make a video on the best ones once I go through them all, but it's gonna take a while. I love that stuff. It's you boy, that birthday video, that's a gift that keeps on giving with that stuff because I'll be able to read those for months. Yeah, this is a question I would need to think about. Let's see. Oh yeah, the mouse. I need to reply to somebody. How wide is your hand and how long are your fingers? Go to the Accursed Farms forum under, or hey, go to the birthday video. I had links to all those to the relevant forum topics in the description. Go to the one in the mouse. I put up a screenshot of measurements of my hand. It's kind of big, you know? So I feel like almost every mouse is too small for me sometimes. Or else they don't have a five, it's not a 5-finger mouse. You know, I really do use all fingers. It makes me, with how mice are designed, it makes, I still feel like a mutant. Yeah, actually my current mouse, the scroll wheel has died. However, I've remapped it to this button right here. So I'm still getting some use out of it. The scroll wheel is completely dead on this one. I broke it. So yeah, a new mouse would be nice at some point. Okay. Okay, well, somebody's asking if they would ever review one of their games. Yeah, maybe if I can get through more of my stuff and I like the atmosphere of it. Or I find it, because sometimes it can be a great game or really creative. It's just not my thing, you know? Like I think there was one game that was sort of a Metroidvania, but it was like the whole artistic look of it. They were modeling like Greek sort of paintings on pots or something. Somebody probably knows the name of the game. So it just wasn't quite my aesthetic. It doesn't mean it's a bad game at all, but you know, different games jump at me for different styles. It's the same with everybody. I'm not one of these people who will just play any game for any reason. It's there's too many to choose from. Okay. Yeah, these are all the 1 point questions. So sorry, I'm skipping through these that aren't the. Oh wow, that's a good one. I don't like judging people by their appearance, but you look like someone who enjoys Iron Maiden. Have you ever played Ed Hunter, their game from the 90s? Would you do an episode? I was not even aware Iron Maiden had its own episode. I mean, its own game. So yeah, I guess I need to, at the very least, I need to look into it. Okay, somebody's saying it's a rail shooter, nothing special. Well, that's gonna be. I know there was Kiss, Psycho Circus. I think Victor Vran had a Motorhead expansion. Geez, there's another one. I want to say there was another heavy metal band that. Ross, I missed. Well, type it in the chat. Somebody's saying I missed a 9-point question. Type it in the chat because I don't want to scroll back up. Let's see. There's a question about V. Yeah, I'm skipping a lot of them. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't even see that question. If you had immunity from the law, what is the worst thing you would do given any amount of money you desire? Wait, what? Okay, given any amount of money you would desire. So, I mean, if I had immunity from the law, I mean, I don't know. It's, I mean that. It's okay. Yeah, I guess I would want to obtain material wealth enough to be kind of set for life. And I guess I would probably just figure out like the worst corporation or person to take it from. Do it more like a Robin Hood thing. Like I wouldn't want to like just rip off normal people. But I mean, I wouldn't care about speed limits. What are some other things? I mean, most of the laws kind of make sense. I mean, the big ones. Let's see. I don't know. I don't, you know, yeah. I mean, I guess yeah. I'll just try and find out somewhat like the yeah. It's like the saying. You know, you don't thieves don't thieves don't go to the police. You know, if you steal from an existing thief, but I don't know. You have to. It would take some time trying to figure out who to take it from. I mean that does sort of put me in the moral wrong too if I'm doing that. But it yeah, it might be worth it to not have to worry about going out on the street or something to have the financial security. Yeah, it's moral gray area definitely. Nothing else is jumping out at me. I mean, oh, okay. Well, yeah, that would be a great one. Yeah, basically every time there's just someone start fights with people who really have it coming. I mean, maybe not just punch them in the face. That's just like start off, but like say there's like the rudest person you can imagine in a line. Just shove them like straight there. You have no concern about the law. If you have anything, you know, and then they want to come at you, fine, let's do this because I mean, you know, that's the main thing. That look, I probably would have gotten into a couple more in school if it wasn't for me worrying about the consequences of it, which in general is good. But it's like some people they should have learned some lessons of decency, you know, by now. I mean, not in like an emergency situation, but just like interacting towards the world in general. So yeah, I would probably take advantage of that. Although you know that even then they're playing with fire because then they might pull a gun on you. So yeah, I don't know. This question's taking me into this question's taking me into territory I probably shouldn't be thinking about too deeply. You're generally gonna have a better life if you obey laws. So that's sort of the idea. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. Well, no, I'll give one more. I would probably do a lot of corporate espionage, however I could, to get access to some of that source code that would really benefit gamers. This, again, not go after the mean stuff, but the stuff that would just, you know, really, uh, again, emulators for old machines that the company's not even selling, you know, stuff like that, or games where they're not even the company's not even together anymore. I wouldn't mind having some corporate theft for that and distributing it. Again, Robin Hood scenarios, not ones that are just gonna screw people. Okay. Jeez. Okay, I'm down to the bottom of the barrel. Okay, tell you what, you can start typing questions. I'm just gonna check if there's any more here. Who'd win in a fight, Godzilla or Norman Bates? Godzilla. I mean, I can't think of any scenario where Norman Bates would win, unless he had possession of a reptilian virus that Godzilla was affected by. That's the only scenario I can imagine where Godzilla wouldn't win. Oh, that's a great question. I've answered it, but I don't mind saying that. When you said you were going to finish Freeman's Mind 1 by the end of 2014, was your plan all along to release the final episode on the 31st of December, or did you just barely make it? No, that was not my plan. I just barely made it. In fact, I used I noticed a bug after uploading where the line was just way too quiet. At the very end, like this, we're talking like, I was trying to like hit December 31st by like anywhere around the globe. And I noticed a bug and I was running out of time. So I tried a program I never used before because Until that point, I basically had to re-encode the audio and the video at the same time when I had a mistake in the audio. So I tried a new program. It seemed to work. It's, yeah, here, MKV merge is what I use, GUI. And it seemed to work. And I put that up. I just skimmed it. I put that up on complete faith that it said, I just checked a bunch of skim points. The sync didn't seem out of sync. I did not even watch the final version before I put it up. I mean, I watched the one prior to that with the mistake. I fixed the mistake and I just put it up on faith that nothing else screwed up. And actually, to this day, I don't think I've even watched through the entire thing. So that got way more high stakes than I wanted it to. Okay, now time for live questions. Let's see. So this one's been answered. What is your favorite conspiracy theory? I think the answer I came up with that the moon is a hologram. Let's see. I've not tried out Secret World Legends yet. I actually may wait till I upgrade because I have a higher resolution now than when I originally played Secret World. So I have more slowdown because the video card isn't as fast now. So I may wait till I upgrade before I play that one. Have you heard of the online game Kingdom of Loathing? No, I haven't. It says it's from 2003. It's still active. You do the Nyet 3 cry sometimes in game dungeons. Is that a purposeful callback, or did you just play so much that it's burned into your brain? Both. I remember that when I was playing it when I was young. So, since you were, yeah, here's a good question for me anyway. You've talked about custom shells. I might as well ask what shell you're using. I've tried Lightstep, but it just can't work for me. It is falling apart at the seams. There are some updates for Windows that break, for Windows 7 that break it. But I am using Lightstep. I'm gonna have to figure out something else. You know, if you go on Wikipedia and look up like custom Windows shells, you can see like for like Windows 98 XP, there's like all these different options. And then for like Vista and 7, there's less options. And then like for 8 and 10, it's like down to almost nothing. So it sucks because my efficiency is fat. I like how the OS looks customized and my efficiency is faster. There are things I do on Windows, on my custom version of Windows, you can't do on default Windows. And it speeds up. Like, you know, because you figure if you work on the computer a lot, any shortcut you can take, that could save you hours over the course of a year or something like that, if it's something you do all the time. But yeah, okay, here's my little combo. I have Lightstep. I'm using Nexus Dock as a taskbar. That one's free if you want to test it out. The advanced version's paid. I am using Directory Opus as a file explorer. And let's see, any other custom stuff? I guess the rest is I'm using Auto Hotkey for some hotkeys, but the rest is mostly in Lightstep. I think I'm gonna have to, I think at some point, eventually at some point, I think I'm gonna have to go to Windows 10 and just, on my terms. And I'm not sure Lightstep's gonna survive the process, in which case I'll have to find some more substitutes. I think Circle Dock might cover some of my shortcut stuff. I don't know if there's an equivalent to the pop-up menu for third-party programs in Lightstep. Basically, the pop-up menu is sort of like the start menu, but you can bring it up anywhere on the desktop. You don't always have to go to the corner. And you can customize it to do whatever. And the system tray, I don't know what's going to customize that. For stuff in the background, I guess you could have rain meter if you just wanted like the time or something. But man, yeah, it's getting hard. It's getting harder. Okay. Last time you talked about art teachers. Do you have any art saved from your school days you can show us? That's all of my parents. My mother has a whole bunch of my art that, you know, maybe I can pull that up sometime. Actually, I thought of maybe showing some of that for a different video I had in mind. Actually, like eventually once I get more done on it, when I talk, I'm gonna make a video talking just about like how games are being killed and like what we can do about it. I want to do that right though, like have a plan of action that will really do something. Contact other YouTubers, try to get them to have the same message and so on. I mean, do whatever they want, but just kind of in their way, not like follow a script or something. But in that, I was going to mention how kind of creative things have always kind of been a part of my life. So I would show like drawings I did as a kid or things like that. I have a very cool looking like mushroom house I made out of clay for a gnome. That one looked pretty great. I think did that in middle school. But yeah, I'll probably show some of that eventually. I might save it for that video. But basically the idea is when I've grown up, I've always been able to, if you've preserved it, I've always been able to count on being able to go back to something you like. If something is on TV, like I grew up, you had a VCR, you could tape it, you can always go back and watch it. Music, it's on a tape or a CD, you can always go back and listen to it. Games, well, you used to always be able to go back and play them. So they're the exception, it's something it's something the industry has added in. It's not innate. So, okay, got sidetracked. Do you think the Deus Ex Human Revolution team could have done a better job working on a game like Divine Cybermancy? My best guess is yeah. Because their problem was they felt a little. My problem was I thought they felt a little too constrained, and like tying it back to real world wasn't their strength in Human Revolution. Whereas that's not a problem for Divine Cybermancy. That's a game that could use a little more structure, maybe. So, and they could go nuts. So. Yeah, let's see. With legal immunity, you could do a Nintendo game video. You know what? There's nothing illegal about doing a Nintendo game video. It's just how the DMCA is enforced by YouTube. You can do fair use stuff all day. But what the law says and what YouTube enforces are two different things. Oh, okay. I answered the wrong question earlier. Do you think a meetup with you will ever become a possibility? Yeah, maybe, but almost certainly not before the movie's done. Then I'll figure out what I'm doing. Like this. I think if I visit USA again, I think I'll have to arrange something. So. Who do you think is the primary audience of this channel? I don't know. I mean, I assume people who like games, maybe my age or younger. I've had a few people older. Let's see. Well, most people like Freeman's Mind, but they're not necessarily the ones who are always coming back to the channel. I think YouTube said it's like 95% male, so. I think some of my videos aren't specifically targeted for men over women, but that's probably the reality. Maybe I can get a few more. Maybe I can get a bit of a wider net for the movie because I want everybody to see that. But have you read World War Z? Yes, I have. Okay, let's see. Since the movie is taking place in a medieval setting, are you going to avoid the usual Hollywood tropes found in medieval movies? Like swords making a swing sound when drawn out of non-metallic scabbards. No, I don't think I would have that. Using bows sideways. I'll research what's appropriate for bows. I'm not an expert. Shouting fire when shooting arrows. That's not really going to apply. Well, maybe. I want to make it seem as natural as possible. Put it like that. Let's see. There's like one scene maybe they'll say something, but it's a little different. It's not gonna be like a squad of people all lined up and one guy saying fire. It's not gonna be that. Peasants wearing only brown clothes. Well, this is medieval fantasy, so I can take some liberties with it. I'll see what my options are with that, because I don't want to make individual clothes for everybody, and it's a lot easier to have rags look the same than like have some fancy design look the same too. Using shields as counterbalance. Jeez, I'm not even sure what that means. But like here, okay, I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler for the movie. I have to double check the script, but I don't think there is going to be medieval combat between two different people with swords. Okay, I don't even think there's going to be a scene like that. There's going to be something different going on. Okay, so that'll eliminate some of these things. Armor being completely useless. No, that will be important. That'll be important. Yeah, okay. I mean, this stuff is sort of spoilerish, but it's sort of like accuracy level thing, so I don't think it gives away too much. Fantasy weapons and armor making absolutely no practical sense. Sparring with sharp weapons, etc. I don't think I have that. No. Here's the thing. I'm gonna try to be as believable as I can when convenient. Okay, so I'm not gonna follow as. However, I could miss a detail or two, or there's some things that it would just, the plot collapses for a detail that most people aren't gonna notice. So, and it's fantasy, so I can kind of bend the rules some. But yeah, physics, I want to keep them close as I can, as close as I can. What are some of your favorite documentaries? I don't watch a whole ton. Let's see. Super Size Me is a fun one. Like, I love the scene where, you know, he hasn't had fast food in forever, and he has like a full Big Mac and gulp and everything, and then he like vomits in the parking lot because he's not used to that. He's like a vegan girlfriend chef or vegan chef girlfriend. There's a lot of funny moments. Let's see. I don't watch a ton. Or they're sort of somber and not something I really want to. I'd have to think about it. Sorry. Maybe I'll have an answer next time. Do you have anything to say about the future of civil protection? It is on hold. It is not canceled or anything like that. I got to get the movie done, then I'll figure out what I want to do. Like for this, my dream scenario would be to like have a studio where I could just write stuff, voice parts I have to, do direction, like have a crew of people helping with all the more like tactical aspects of production. That would be awesome. So in which case I could have multiple things in motion at the same time, but right now I still have to pick and choose. And that may never happen realistically, so. Did you ever have any more ideas for creating different Half-Life 2 series, like Freeman's Mind, Civil Protection? Not for Half-Life. However, I have a ton of ideas for Civil Protection. So, I have plenty of other ideas. What metal bands do you like? Just give me the entire list. I'm catching up on a lot of stuff. Let's see. Okay, I'll just give you a sort of, basically just take a rapid fire of popular metal bands from the 90s. Like, you know, some I like more than others. Some like the song's gonna be more specific. So like Motley Crue, Pantera, like yeah, somebody mentioned Iron Maiden, Megadeth, let's see, Slayer. I'm sort of catching up on. See, I didn't have access to everything when growing up, so it's like I sort of slowly have to catch up on what. Now it's all online and everything, so I can. And it's a lot easier to get to. But before, it's like if you didn't have a friend that had it, if you didn't have cable TV, and you know you basically had to go to the record store, and that's gonna be $10. So there are some stuff you can listen to like at at the CD store for like a album, but it's like it was much more of a gamble. So I kind of missed out, but I'm gonna that's I bet I'll have a better grasp on it next month. And then once I get caught up on all the popular stuff from the '90s, I gotta see what's come out since then. So that'll be trickier because at least that stuff everybody knew about it, you know, because it was on TV and everything like that. Yeah, I didn't have access to cable TV for pretty much most of my life, so that's also why. Yeah, I'm still catching up on a lot of MTV stuff. That's why I think like, oh, Ian Flux, I didn't see that till college. Like, oh, this is awesome. Or, well, Syphil and Ollie, Syphil and Ollie show. I got to see some of at a friend's house. That was great. So, and then music videos. You know, I missed out on a whole bunch of them too. So, like, I'm sure I would have been all over MTV had I had it as a teenager. Oh yeah, thanks for the congratulations on the wedding. So. Would you consider crowdfunding your movie project? I've already got look, as long as okay, fingers crossed, if nothing drastically changes with the donations and the YouTube income, I shouldn't need additional financing for the most part. And the thing is, there's a point where more money might help a little bit, but not that much. And then in order for it to help a lot, like speed up the movie, like substantially, or the quality or something, the divide on the money I would need is just stupid. So it's like, it's not even worth it. So really, as long as I can just keep paying rent and eating, I'm okay. And so far, I'm still okay. There's been a dip lately, but I was kind of spending more time in the movie instead of short-term videos. I think within the next 2 months, I'll probably be a little bit better because I'll be getting more videos out. So it's a juggling act. So, and plus, you know, once I'm doing that with specific intention, good God, I better have a deadline then, you know, because that's a way to get people's wrath is to build up expectations as to when and then not deliver at all. I mean, you know, is all I said in that video of the announcements video back is I would be ecstatic if it is done by that time. I'm running behind schedule, but you know, again, if I was gonna make one more video, it would be the movie. So I'm still working at it. It's just the key to not going insane is to not get too dragged down by what you haven't done yet and just keep pushing forward on things. You know, better late than never is becoming the story of my life. Let's see. If you were a wanted man, what would your plan be? Yeah, but okay. Well, there's kind of two ways to see that really depends on the circumstances, man. Like if you, yeah, like I sort of thought about it. Like, you know, if you had like a certain amount of income that you had squirreled away or something, then moving to a country where that would carry you a lot farther. Again, India is a really good option because, or one with no, I was gonna say because it's so populated, you know, you just blend into the sea. Although if you're a white person, you'd stand out a lot more. Go to a country with no extradition rights, and it depends on your crime too, because something like, you know, if you're somebody like Snowden, yeah, they are going to try to extradite you if they possibly can at all. Whereas if you're wanted for robbing a 7-Eleven, you know what? That might just not be worth the FBI's time, or the CIA's or whatever. So then you have a few more options, but you want to try to get out of the country. But how do you get out of the country if you're already wanted? I guess you cross the border into Mexico or Canada from the United States. I mean, or if you had access to a boat, but see that takes some resources from a boat, then that would open up your options a lot more. And you gotta get supplies. and stuff too. It depends on who you know. I mean, worst case scenario, if they were just locked down, you might even be able to just go off into the woods. But if dogs are chasing you, then you got to get rid of that scent. You know, I mean, get off the woods and like try to live off the land for a while in like some national forest or something. Yeah, it's a lot of variables. A lot of variables. What's the most demanding video project you've worked on and uploaded? It's been different. It's been bad in different ways. Like ones where I'm trying to make a deadline, the holiday ones, those can get pretty awful. This is why I'm busting my ass this month for the Halloween stuff. I may still get pretty busy towards the end of October, but at least I'll have a video set up. Again, it may not be the best. Okay, I'll give a bit of a warning. The Halloween videos, hopefully, probably aren't going to be the scariest games this year. But my hand is being forced on something. Like I have a fallback Halloween video, which I knew I can do this one relatively quickly. So I'll have that. But then there's the other one that my hand's being forced on, which I'll explain once I get to the video. And then I hope to have maybe something else. So I'll see. Okay. Will you make a channel trailer for YouTube? Maybe I should. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, his question was skipped. Okay. Well, I just scrolled up like 2 pages, and that's just before when I was asking stuff, so maybe he'll ask again. And now I lost my place. Great. All right. Skipped. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Let's see. Would you consider getting other game devs and playing their games with them, like with Serial Cyberpunk? Yeah, it's just, especially if they come to me. I mean, I think, well, maybe or maybe not playing their games with them. They may not want to, but I could do more interview stuff. But I guess I still liked. See, it's sort of a balance. Like my real goal is to have a video that's the most entertaining to watch, one way or another, and that's always going to be like the stuff with an original story, fully animated, and everything. But that takes the most time. So to ratchet it down, Freeman's Mind is probably more pop. Geez, that's probably going to be more popular than anything I'll ever do. And that takes less time than that. So that's why Freeman's Mind was started. So of course I'll continue that. And that's basically, geez, it's been half my career, if you want to call it that, with Freeman's Mind. But then past that, Game Dungeon was 2 things. A compromise between the most entertaining and something I could get out within a sane amount of time, and something to have in my back pocket once I eventually finish Freeman's Mind. Because, if I just did Game Dungeon, if I did the first episode after finishing Freeman's Mind, the viewership would be way lower. I'm certain of it. But now it has its own little crowd, so that way, once Freeman's Mind's eventually over, I can still kind of transition to that as just a fall, because I'm never going to run out of games if I need to keep making YouTube videos to kind of keep things afloat. So that's one avenue. But I'd love to find more ways to do things. And interviews, I do like having those because it's like it's almost like finding something in a treasure chest for gaming history, like being able to talk to the developer like that. But at the same time, I can totally understand where those probably aren't the most entertaining for the average person coming to the site. So that's sort of like a minority thing that I think is worth doing, but it just has to be balanced against everything else. So that's my thought process for making videos. So I'm surprised that came out as lucid as it did. So I'm open to more ideas. I'm still searching for the holy grail of fast and entertaining, which may or may not exist. Oh, how many monitors do you have? I currently have Well, okay, I'm using one. I have a second one back there that I hook up when I do the game sessions. I, like, okay, my attitude on monitors, okay, it's sort of dumb, but I feel like, well, if I'm gonna go with two, like, if I'm gonna go with a second monitor, I may as well go with three. Keep the symmetry, you know. Uh, but if I'm going to three, then I think I'm gonna want to play games with the three monitors, and boy, that really increases the graphics load for a lot of games, and not all games support it. And then is that gonna maybe I can ask the multi-monitor people, does it sting when you have to, well, like when you want to watch a movie or something on only the center monitor and you have those other two monitors just there that you're not using, or do you get used to it? I don't know. It seems like an expensive proposition. It seems like an expensive experiment. For productivity, I'm sure it would make sense. Plus, there's the other thing where this monitor is a decent size now. So if I have three of those, I might feel kind of like overwhelmed by maybe I'll start getting the headaches like the guy was talking about earlier. So I don't know. Maybe I will eventually. I don't know. There's pros and cons. Have you considered doing a video dedicated to all the archaic setups required for obscure computer games? Not really. I mean, it's mostly like DOSBox covers you for so many things, and then I mostly use virtual machine and then install the operating system that's most friendly with the game. You know, whether it's XP or Windows 98. I don't know. Although I do have something similar to that thing that I eventually want to do. Well, actually, maybe somebody's done it. Okay, eventually, at some point, I want to do a Windows 7 versus Windows 10 game compatibility shootout, except I'm going to be grabbing all the stuff that isn't that popular, maybe people haven't heard of, because I want to hit the worst case scenarios and try my best and see how that holds up. And then I'm actually with one of the guys who helps me, Brian Shooter. I might even try to get him on it, and maybe he could run the same experiment on Linux with Wine and see what the results are. Because a popular game like StarCraft, of course, there's going to be ways to run that, or Doom, or just anything a million people have heard of or love. But all these weird ones, they can get left by the wayside. So I'm really curious about that. Get like 50 games or maybe even 100. Just go through them, start it, see if I can get into the game. Like, not the menu, but like actually start the game, go through the cutscene, and get into the game. That would be the test. And I'd love to do that sometime. And if you want to steal the idea, you're welcome to. But I hope to get to that eventually, because I'm curious. Because that's always my number one concern about moving to a newer OS is, will I be able to run my programs? That's the whole point of an OS for me. So, Ross, do you still use Windows XP? No, I switched back in 2011, 2012, something like that. It's on the blog somewhere. I'm on Windows 7, and I'll probably switch to Windows 10, I don't know, 2020, something like that. Basically, I want a way so that it will not automatically update ever. Like, I always want that to be a manual thing. So I've been burned before on things related to that. Oh, tell the story of when you met that Buddhist monk. Yeah, that's in Tom's video. I have a shot of that. The one he asked me for the... Geez, I don't even remember the name of it. It's a Japanese name, I think. Well, anyway, I did a collaborative video with Tom on Weird Video Games channel. It's sort of like what I did with him and Boppin. And I forgot the name of it. I think it's a Japanese one. But yeah, and I showed a picture of Buddhist monk. That's a guy here that my girlfriend sees every once in a while. She was taking herbs that she was into before I met him. So it's like, yeah, this guy used to be a bodyguard for the Dalai Lama. So I thought, oh wow. And so I asked if I could get a picture with them. And because I was doing that video, it's like, oh, that'd be great to throw in there. And it ended up kind of blurry, but I was sort of able to salvage it because we were going to take it on her smartphone. So, and just before we go in, she hands it to me. It's like, here, put this in your pocket because she had to do something in her purse. I was like, okay. I put it in there. All this stuff starts happening. He's like, what did you do? I literally did not touch it. I just put it in my pocket and it locked her out of the phone. She couldn't remember her code. So I thought we weren't going to be able to take a picture, but I had a tablet on me that I used to read. So I used that and the camera was pretty bad, but I still got it. So. What does the W stand for, your middle initial? I like to let people guess on that one. Let's see. Will you consider releasing voice-only audio packs, not only for Freeman's Mind 2, but potentially for other things you've done too, such as Civil Protection and Ross's Game Dungeon? Yeah, I guess so, if people want it. I mean, I have to go through and put it all together, but yeah, I don't see that big of a problem with it. I have not read the Bus comic strips. What's your favorite point-and-click adventure game? Well, in terms of mechanics, it might actually be Still Life, because those were good puzzles. And of course, Puzzle Agent. But in terms of the themes, one of them's coming up. And yeah, put it like this, I'll probably get to the favorites in Game Dungeon at one point. I don't know if I could pick one favorite, but one of them is coming up for October. Assuming I have, yeah. Okay, I don't want to give any more hints. But. Okay, somebody's recommending the show Black Mirror, which I'll probably see at some point. Oh, geez, I forgot to tell people to put the 3 equal signs in the chat. Sorry about that. Do you plan to observe Night Watch from Nivell? Did you play this game? What thoughts about this universe? I haven't. That one's not ringing a bell. Let me check my game research lists. Because if I'm... Okay, one second. Because if I have heard of it and something about it caught my attention, then I have almost certainly written it down. And I'm going to make this list public later. That's going to happen at some point after the website's launched. And it'll be really easy to browse. That was not on there. So no, I haven't heard of that. I haven't heard of it, or else I'm not that interested in it. I'll have to look it up. Okay, Daniel's saying questions about the movie won't be answered. That's not true. I'll answer technical questions, but I don't like being asked, like, when's it coming out? How's it coming? Like, I'll let you know when there's major developments. It's just too much. Basically, every time that you ask me that, it makes me just want to stop doing all other videos, do nothing but the movie, and then I'll end up homeless because I'm not bringing in income. So it's a defense mechanism, guys. I swear I am working on it. Like, I got a lot done. That's why there wasn't a video next month, and guess what? My income went down measurably. So it's going to have to be a little bit more of a wax on, wax off situation here, but I'm dead set on it as I ever was. What do you think of games with ASCII graphics, like roguelikes, ZZT, Alpha Man, Castle Ventures, etc.? I do appreciate having graphics, and I consider ASCII graphics like the bottom floor. However, your game's got to be really good, man. Like, you better make up for it on the rest of it. That's what I would say. It's been a long time since I've played an ASCII-based game, but... Like, the most famous one is Dwarf Fortress, but that's another one where the learning curve is like, oh God, like, I like the theme, the concept sounds great, but the learning curve, I don't know. Maybe I'll get to it someday. That might be a better game to play when I'm old and retired. Okay, I'll answer this. Ross, if you were in a situation in college where your Spanish teacher required the class to teach 1 to 3 year old kids basic Spanish every week, even though a lot of them are still trying to learn basic English, what would you do? 1 to 3 year old kids. Just, geez, I don't know. That's just keep it. Stick to nouns and verbs. Maybe bring it. Maybe only teach words you have a prop for. Ball. You know, water. uh, maybe not even pencils for 1 to 3 year olds. Crayon. You know, I don't know. I guess that's my quick guess. Don't teach anything you don't have props for. Do you think someday YouTube will fall, like a better service will rise and replace it? I'd say anything's possible, but outlook's murky, I'd say. I wouldn't bet money on it. I mean, monopolies are notoriously hard to dethrone, especially ones with basic competence. Plus, YouTube is another problem where it takes a lot of resources to run YouTube. So it's, I mean, if you look at some of the tech giants from 30 years ago, they are still around. You know, Microsoft, Intel, it's AMD. Well, let's see, was NVIDIA around 30 years ago? I forget when AMD might be younger than that, but it's, and the thing is, it's not like some competitor. Look, for video cards, for things like that, Intel has tried to compete. Intel and many others like Matrox and S3, you know, they've tried to compete with video cards. They couldn't. They either went out of business or they sort of weren't able to keep up with it. I mean, Intel, good God, they have so many resources. They can't keep up with the video cards. I mean, they're making progress, but they can't keep up with that because it's such a massive head start. And while streaming video probably isn't on that level, the point is some markets, it's like the barrier to entry is so enormous. So it's like everything's in Google's favor there, no matter what they do. I mean, that's the danger of monopolies, you know, is if they try to do something that's people really don't like, you don't have much of another option. I mean, Google's a de facto monopoly where it's not, yes, there are other options for streaming video. However, in terms of market share, it has the majority of the market by far. So, I don't know. I wouldn't count on it, but anything could happen. I think we have interesting times ahead either way. Have you ever realized that you kind of look blind in the stream due to your eye color and the lighting? No, I haven't. I mean, I'm not talking like this, you know, and saying, "Oh, that's interesting," but you know, I mean, I do. I am looking at things. And I'm way behind in the chat. Okay, I'm about half an hour through, and it's been over 2 hours. Okay, so I'm gonna get brutal. Get much more restrictive on which questions I answer. Let's see. If you could send one item of information into space for aliens, what would it be? I don't know. Well, the one they have on Voyager, those images on Voyager probably isn't too bad. I doubt. I mean, I imagine NASA put some thought into that. Does the movie have listings yet? I don't care. That's all post-production stuff. The listings for the movie and exposure and everything. Not even thinking about that now. Finish line. That's the main goal, you know. I can worry about promotion once the movie's done. Okay. Any thought on System of a Down? Okay, I might be mixing up bands, but that's the one where I feel like this. I think that's System of a Down, with the one where I feel like the singer always sort of sounds like a goat. So. Do you collect vinyl records at all? No. I mean, I played a couple that my parents had, but their music isn't my music as much. There's definitely a generation gap there. Most of my stuff is like, the stuff that I like is from like, you know, 80s onward. Because I feel like they sort of opened up the options for what kind of music you can play. I mean, I like a few ones, like you know, like some Rolling Stones and Steppenwolf, but I'm glad I was born later in terms of music. So. Yeah, someone's saying modern day MTV is just trash. No, I'm talking about like I'm talking about like golden days of MTV. You know, where first it was just music videos, and then it was like the coolest TV shows you can imagine. So, yeah, pre Real World or Jersey Shore stuff. Okay, again, I'm skipping some questions. Have any ideas in the movies come from your dreams? Not really, but I've had ideas for videos I haven't made that come from dreams. I do not have a pet. Does that lamp turn on? Yes. Okay, well, then now we're scraping the barrel for questions. I'm still like 20 minutes behind. Okay, I gotta catch up on these. Let's see. Have you looked? Oh, that's a good question. Have you looked into Linux KVM pass-through and just doing all Windows stuff in virtual machines? I hear you only lose 3 frames per second if it's done properly. No, I have not. I've heard it's very complicated. And you need 2 video cards. I hope that gets streamlined at some point. That might be the best case for future game preservation. I'm serious. Although I hope you can force anti-aliasing that way, like you can through like a driver on Windows. I don't know if you can or not, but from what I've heard, that could be the holy grail of like not having to deal with whatever crap Microsoft throws at you and being able to run any game made on PC. That might be the holy grail. I don't know, but I hope that gets easier. I figure by maybe I'll give it a shot in a few years once it's been a little more mainstream. But boy, I hope that's as good as people are pitching it. Oh wow. Okay, well this enemy territory Quake Wars player here. It rocked until Windows 10 Creators Update. Same for Linux. Windows 10 Creators Update broke custom maps. Thanks, Microsoft. Man, this is what I'm afraid. I'm not a Luddite. It's this. This is it. Because I played Quake Wars. You know, I might play some again. Hell, once I get like with VorpX stuff on VR, I'm gonna want to revisit a bunch of games to see them in like real 3D. Oh man, this is what I'm worried about. We gotta. I hope more solutions come along. Like, yeah, after killing games, this is probably the number 2 issue I'm concerned about. You know, because this isn't an intentional killing of a game, but man, it's bad. You have to jump through so many hoops on this stuff. I didn't know that Windows 10 broke some compatibility with Quake Wars. I hate thinking about this stuff. Because you know, even if you just stick to an OS and like did a dual boot or something, the farther in the future you go, the harder it is. That OS is going to be to support your modern hardware. So it's just it's like sand shifting from underneath you. How many countries? Okay, no, I'm running out of time. That's be next time. Oh, geez. Okay, I might be in trouble here. Will your fiance allow you to do a Ross's Mine video of the wedding? I don't think she'd want that, but I forgot to mention something. She wanted me to mention her Twitter, which is Amazing Magda. So if you want to, she's put some funny things up there. Honestly, I don't really follow it, but that's not against her. I don't really follow much of anything on Twitter. So I just use it for announcements. Yeah, hey, okay, I'll call out somebody, tough guy. Full English bro fist. He's saying dual booting is a waste of time. Yes, normally, but he's talking about a hypervisor. Can you force driver-based anti-aliasing using a virtual machine like on Linux? Because, like, hey, you know what? You take a game that doesn't, like, especially DirectX 9 and earlier. Like if you take a random Windows game and it doesn't support anti-aliasing on it, you can force that in the drivers on a whole lot of games. I'd say especially on NVIDIA ones. It switches a little bit. Whereas virtual machines, that hasn't been an option for me. So can you do that? Maybe you can. So because on every other front, I'd agree with you. It's like, yeah, just use a virtual machine. But man, that's one where like running it natively versus running it like through a virtual machine, you lose something. So let's see. And I'm going to have to look at his response. Oh, what will happen in October? Okay, yes, I guess I should mention that. I'll just have one in November. If I have time, which I doubt, I may, or just get really motivated to, I may have like a live stream playing a game or something late October, maybe. I'll have an announcement on that if I do, but I'll just make the next chat for November. Do you think that Half-Life 2 Episode 3 will ever be released? I'd say it's looking less likely by Valve. I mean, put it like this: the writer leaked it intentionally. Like he didn't, like this wasn't an accident. So that should say something about his confidence of it coming out. And I figure he knows more about it than most people. So probably not from Valve. I don't know. Or maybe this, I don't know, but Valve, I can never, I figure you're really going out in the deep end trying to predict what Valve's going to do. Create an upload. Yeah, which has been the most difficult to make. Well, the tunnel with the videos, the tunnel was probably the longest one. I mean, in terms of time, but there've been, I don't know, there've been varying degrees of hardness. Like some just seem to never end, and others just abusing myself physically, basically, but through lack of sleep and exercise and everything, trying to make a deadline, which I'm trying to just avoid that completely. Like I there's not many deadlines that are that important anymore. I got to plan better or lower my ambition level for some things. That's the thing. Save it for the movie. Okay, I'm almost caught up. Oh, okay. So the full English brofist, he was talking more about applications. Yeah, I agree totally. Emulate that stuff. Games are the bastard for trying to get them going properly because they're a unique, creative experience. You know, so you want them to run right. It's not like an Office program where you can just run it in a window or some converter or something like that. You know. Okay, well, somebody else is saying Windows, yes, you can force AA because it'll be using the normal Windows drivers. Right on. Although then we have to, it's gonna get ugly, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. People come up with solutions because then say because that works for like games sort of far back. Like I think like because I have like a GeForce 770 that would I'm not gonna be able to get that running on Windows 98 or something for a 3D game. However, maybe there's enough emulation layers in there that I could get it going. And man, those low resolution games are the ones that benefit the most from anti-aliasing. So, but yeah, that could keep that could help me avoid Windows 10 pitfalls, or it will never jeopardize my projects because I'm running it inside a virtual machine. That would be nice. Will there be provisions for rendering the movie in 3D in the future? I'll save all the source content. I may not do it, but I might kick it to somebody else if they really want to. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm looking at this last batch of questions, seeing which ones I want to answer, and that's it. Which language is Dave gibbering at the end of the tunnel? I think, according to Craig, that was Hungarian. I don't remember. Craig's the one that came up with that. It's like, oh, fine, you know that? Sure, let's have Dave start speaking in tongues here. Do you think the movie will be released before Half-Life 3 is? Okay, if Half-Life 3 is not part of that VR pack that Valve's working on, I'd say pretty probably. Yeah. Somebody's saying, I predicted the Half-Life 3 plot in Aliens episode of Civil Protection. If you look at the big picture, they might as well be fighting the aliens with Nerf ball guns. Yeah, well, they really were. In fact, I wrote that before I played. I think I did that before episode 1 might have even been out. But until like close to the end of Half-Life 2, I mean of episode 2, it all seems completely hopeless. Like towards the end there, it does seem like, okay, now maybe there is a chance to defeat the Combine, you know? Okay. Okay, this is a good question to end it on. Are you nervous to get married? Let's see. Yeah. You know what? I have never been that you know, I've been together with my girlfriend for a while, but what's always made me far more nervous than the thought of marriage was like the cost of a wedding. However, being in, because that's what always made me just like, you know, I'm not even going to bring this topic up. Like, I did some research. The average cost, from what I saw, of an American wedding is $35,000. And a third of all couples, like in the USA, go into debt over their wedding. Well, the one here will be substantially less involved with that. You know, like there's no precious, there's no precious gems on my ring, and it's gonna be fairly small, like 25, maybe 30 people, and the costs in general in Poland are lower. So, yeah, somebody's saying that may not be true anymore, but I saw that on some stat thing. I was looking up like average cost of a wedding, and that came up. So that you maybe have that fact checked, but so that's not that big a deal for. I mean, we've been together several years, and I figure if there were really major problems, and hey, we don't plan to have kids, so that should add to the stability. I figure if there are any major problems, they probably would have cropped up by now. So, actually, it's gonna be really fun because I'm gonna get to see some of my friends that I haven't seen like in person in years. Okay, I'm gonna end it on that. Yeah, I have a lot to do. Okay, bye everybody.